Hi folks, welcome to Crisco's Corner. Unfiltered commentary. And that's your truth, the real truth. Please like, share, and subscribe. And as always, thank you for your support. Hi folks, welcome back from the Post-Millennial. This is about a segment on Tucker Carlson last night that I saw that I couldn't agree with more. And it says, watch, Tucker Carlson blames man-hating culture for mental health issues among young men. The authorities in their lives, Carlson said, mostly women, never stop lecturing them about their so-called privilege. You're male, you're privileged, imagine that. And they're told constantly, young men, you're the problem, you're toxic. Your masculinity is what's wrong with this country. Your masculinity is why women are oppressed. Your masculinity is blah, 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 blah. Your masculinity starts wars, and it just goes on and on and on. And hearing this from counselors, teachers, parent, constantly. And then the young women around you as well. Men suck. You guys are horrible. Blah, 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 blah. And if you're having issues to begin with and you hear that, of course you're gonna go over the edge. But it's really interesting. Let's read on. Tucker Carlson on Tuesday night addressed the issue of mass shooting and the young men who commit them, placing part of the blame for poor mental health state of these individuals on the society and culture that tells them they are worthless and they should be ashamed of their sex. Yeah, they never stop pounding them. Try to imagine a happier and healthier life than that. So a lot of young men in America are going nuts. Are you surprised? Anybody that's been through the family court system will tell you men are just excess baggage. Basically just serfs. It's disgusting. Why aren't men getting married in huge numbers, unlike 20, 30 years ago? Because they see what's happened to other men. And they see how they're treated. How they're basically indentured servants if you ever happen to have a child with a woman, married to them or not. Oh, God. In discussing the latest mass shooting committed in Highland Park, Illinois on July 4th by a YouTuber and apparent nihilist, Carlson spoke how the police in that community didn't see him as a major threat. If you saw this kid physically and saw his background, he sticks out like a sore thumb, i.e. red flag, for buying a firearm. But that's a different issue. He didn't stand out, Carlson said, because there are a lot of young men in America who suddenly look and act like this guy. It's not an attack. It's just true. Unbelievable. They have a habit of solitary fantasy worlds of social media, porn, and video games. They're high on government-endorsed weed. They're numbed by the endless psychotropic drugs that are handed out in every school in the country by crackpots. It's amazing to me. It truly is. Let's hear a little bit of it.
Like Cremo, they inhabit a solitary fantasy world of social media, porn, and video games. They're high on government-endorsed weed. Smoke some more. It's good for you. They're numbed by the endless psychotropic drugs that are handed out at every school in the country by crackpots posing as counselors. And of course, they're angry. They know that their lives will not be better than their parents. They'll be worse. That's all but guaranteed. They know that. They're not that stupid. And yet the authorities in their lives, mostly women, never stops lecturing them about their so-called privilege. You're male, you're privileged. Imagine that. Try to imagine an unhealthier, unhappier life than that. So a lot of young men in America are going nuts. Are you surprised? And by the way, a shockingly large number of them have been prescribed psychotropic drugs by their doctors, SSRIs or antidepressants. And that would include quite a few mass shooters. And keep in mind, again, these drugs are meant to prevent crazy behavior. And yet there seems to be a connection. Eric Harris, the Columbine killer, was in both Zoloft and Luvox. A year earlier, a 15-year-old called Kip Kinkle shot his parents and dozens of classmates. He was on Prozac. In 2005, a 16-year-old called Jeff Wiesa killed his grandfather and 10 kids in Minnesota. He was in Prozac too. So was 27-year-old Stephen Kamerzak, who murdered 6 people at Northern.
You get the general idea what we're doing to our young men. They have no stability. They get in their 20s, they get out of college, or go to trade school would be better. Either one. They're mid-20s, late 20s. Finding a decent woman to settle down with and civilize. Women civilize young men. And in a good way. You have children, create a family, stability, contribute to society through your children and or your work. All thrown away. All thrown out by the progressive monsters. All they care about is tearing down the society all the way down to its foundation. Tearing it to rubble so they can build it back up in the image they want. And that image is horrifying. You say, well, John, that's just your opinion. Well, here's a fact. Testosterone levels among young men in the United States is plummeting. And those, well, that's good then. That's the toxic masculinity part. No, it's not. The reality of the world is women need men. And men need women. We need each other. Not every relationship is perfect. But married couples or long-term committed couples are just for society. It brings stability. It brings so many good things. And all of that's been destroyed. And now the young men come out. They're burdened with college debt. It'll take them 20 years to pay. All they see around them are women calling them names and using them for what they can get because culture has said women can use their femininity in their bodies for anything they want to have and just have a good time. It's really horrible. And then women turn around and say, we can't find a good man. Well, look in the mirror as to why. Look in the mirror as to why there's no good young men, or very small amount compared to years ago. I'm not saying all young men are bad. They've been pounded on and pounded on and pounded on relentlessly for years. I mean, read the rest of the article here. I mean, it's amazing to me. A shocking large number of them have been prescribed psychotropic drugs by their doctors, SSRIs or antidepressants. So that would include quite a few mass shooters. And he go on to give an example. Between 1991 and 2018, total SSRI prescriptions in the United States rose by more than 3,000%. 3,000%. It was during this period as well, he noted, that suicide rates jumped 35%. Now they're pushing trans things on these young men and women. In my understanding, from my memory, just doing some reading, the suicide rate among gender dysphoria individuals, and my heart goes out to them, is 40%. And after they go from whatever sex they were originally at to where they want to go, the suicide rate is still 40%, which is incredibly high. And this is COVID and the isolation that's added to it. That was a problem that's been going on for years. You see, between 1991 and 2018. That was before COVID. We're destroying the next generation. Absolutely destroying them. Mentally castrating them. Young men are being pummeled into the ground. Ladies out there, you're partially to blame too. In this hookup culture and get what I can get out of a guy, and it's an endless circle of misery and social decay. I'm not a perfect person. I'm not some anti we'll call societal. I was young too at one time. You want to sow your wild oats, as they say. I don't have a double standard for women or men, but it comes to a point where enough is enough. You're hurting yourself. You're hurting others. If you have small children, you're hurting them. Men in this society now, especially young men, are disposable. And not only do young women think that young men are disposable, the young men have been told that repeatedly over years and decades of their lives. And they look at their future and they don't see they have one. Of course you're going to have mental instability. It's really sad. Just 50 years ago, which isn't that long ago, 1972, you look back even 50 years ago, a young man at 25, 26 years old had a long-term girlfriend or was married and had a kid by then, had their own household, had their own family, had their own stability. Not anymore. Young men now, 25, 26, 27, still live with their parents. That really look at their lives. They look themselves in the mirror and they see no future. And then you add the antidepressants and all the rest of the stuff from Big Pharma. It's amazing to me. So many of these young men snap. Not a surprise. When is this going to end? I don't see an ending in the near future. I really don't. This is depressing, but it's the truth. And I hate to carry on, but I don't have a solution. So I guess out there, you mothers, young women, don't get on the young men so much. They're doing the best they can. They're trying just like you are. And life is difficult. But remember, women, you need men. And remember, men, you need women. You need each other. That's the best advice I can give. Until the next time, goodbye and good luck.